Yes, we would like to start bout 2. We would like to invite the moderator as moderator, Dr. Bhavesh Patel, Dr. Smitesh Dutt, and Dr. Pragnesh Vora. And kindly introduce Pragnesh to all our chairpersons. Pragnesh is there. Kindly introduce the chairpersons.
Hello. Hello, good evening.
Yes, Pragnesh,
Hello,
go
good
ahead.
evening, everyone. Today's chairpersons are Dr. Nikhil Jadhav, Dr. R.K. Goel, and Dr. J.K. Jeet Brahmbhatt. Hello. Hello.
Hello, this is Dr.
Dr. Bhavesh Patel, please.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes.
So please introduce our first speaker, Dr. Pandey, and then Dr. Pandey can share his slides and we can start. Dr. Pandey is a dear friend of mine, and he's been electrophysiologist. He's done his fellowship in intervention in electrophysiology from Australia. We know him as one of the brightest speaker. He's currently vice president of Indian Academy of Echocardiography. He's supposed to be the final authority. If his echo report comes, you don't question it. That's final authority. So that's Dr. Pandey for me. It's great to have Dr. Pandey as a speaker, and he'll be speaking on dabigatran as NOAC, the most widely studied for this case of paroxysmal AF without past history of any embolic phenomena. Dr. Pandey, please share your screen.
Thank you. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Sir. Yes, sir.
I thank, at the outset, I thank Kamal Sharma profusely for inviting me for such a brilliant conference. Now, let me start with what's the question here? Let's be clear. Which NOAC will you use beyond 1 year of PCI in a patient with paroxysmal AF who is 66-year-old male, 65 kgs in weight, with a CHA2DS2-VASc score of 4 and a Hasbled score of 2? The missing information here to decide the dose is creatinine or a EGFR, which has not been given in the case scenario, and the concomitant medications. So what do these scores mean to you? CHA2DS2-VASc score is 4, Hasbled score is 2. These scores mean that he's a patient with a high risk of ischemic stroke and an average risk of bleed. Ladies and gentlemen, I remind you again, high risk of ischemic stroke and an average risk of bleed. Now, ESC guidelines clearly say beyond 1 year of PCI, you don't need to use any antiplatelet at all. It is NOAC alone. So which NOAC? And my choice will be dabigatran. I will tell you why. In Rocket AF trial, some group of patients were reduced with reduced dose of rivaroxaban with a creatinine clearance of 30 to 50. In Aristotle trial, another small subgroup of patients were used reduced dose of apixaban when they had 2 or more of the features, age more than 80, weight less than 60, or a creatinine 1.5 or more. Whereas, please remember, in the pivotal trial RELY or dabigatran, 150 and 110 BID doses were randomly assigned without taking into consideration age, weight, or creatinine clearance. Meaning that equal number of patients received 150 milligram BID and 110 BID comparing to warfarin. 6,000, 6,000, 6,000 in each arm. In the rivaroxaban trial, only 20% people received the reduced dose. And in the Aristotle trial, less than 5% people received the 2.5 BD of rivaroxaban. Why I'm telling you this? Because dabigatran 150 BID was the only NOAC and the only dose that resulted in significant reduction of ischemic stroke compared to warfarin. Both rivaroxaban and apixaban, both the doses 20 and 15, 5 BD and 2.5 BD proved non-inferior to warfarin. And here I'm talking about a patient with a very high risk of ischemic stroke. When you compared efficacy and safety of dabigatran in the RELY trial, the red dot is a 150 BID dose. The blue dot is a 110 BID dose. You clearly see here, ICH was reduced with both the doses of dabigatran. Ischemic stroke was statistically significantly reduced compared to warfarin with 150 BID dose of dabigatran. And the 110 BID dabigatran proved superior to warfarin in reducing bleeding and non-inferior to warfarin in reducing ischemic stroke. What point I'm driving home is 110 BID is non-inferior, 150 BID is superior to warfarin. There is an interesting RELY post-hoc analysis of subset of patients who received appropriate dose. I have told you that 150 and 110 BD were randomly assigned to patients. So when it took the patients who received 150 BD, some of them received appropriately 150 and some of them were overdosed. Whereas 110 those who received 110 BD, some of them received appropriately 110 and some of them were underdosed. But when you analyze statistically, those patients who received appropriately 150 and appropriately 110, you see that major bleeding, life-threatening bleeding and stroke. All these favored the appropriate doses of dabigatran compared to warfarin. Now my colleagues, Ajay and Jay, will draw your attention to this particular slide. I know that Rocket AF trial involved or enrolled patients with a high CHA2DS2 score as against RELY, which the average CHA2DS2 score was 2.1. Now let me point at the subgroup analysis of RELY, where the high CHA2DS2 score were 33% of patients, 1/3 population, 5,800 patients. And dabigatran 150 BID dose reduced the risk of stroke and systemic embolism equally well, where the CHA2DS2 score was low, medium, or high. What is even more interesting, that 150 BID dose, these green dots, dabigatran 150 BID versus warfarin, reduce the risk of ischemic stroke across all ranges of CHA2DS2 score, and 110 BD, this is a low dose of dabigatran, reduce the risk of ischemic stroke in patients with high CHA2DS2 score compared to warfarin. So even a lower dose reduces the risk of stroke. Underdosing is a bad news, my friends, and Orbita registry clearly showed that underdosing increases the all-cause mortality. The Danish registry, which clearly showed that when you compare dabigatran, rivaroxaban, low dose, apixaban clearly increases, the low dose clearly increases the risk of ischemic stroke. Dabigatran low dose clearly reduces the risk of bleeding, but the apixaban low dose and the rivaroxaban low dose clearly increase mortality. What do you do when the patient starts bleeding? I have to have an antibody. Idarucizumab is a specific reversal agent to dabigatran, freely available and given freely by the company to all those patients who are taking dabigatran. And therefore, this increases the confidence level of the physician in prescribing appropriate dose of dabigatran to appropriate group of patients without the fear of bleeding because an antidote is available. My friends, Jay and Ajay will tell you that antidote will be also available with factor 10 inhibitors, Adexonate alpha. But is this agent as good as idarucizumab? Let's see. This is approved. This agent is approved only for uncontrolled bleeding, not to those who are going for emergency surgery. This is not widely available as it in India. It causes immediate reversal, but sustained infusion is required. And what is most important, idarucizumab has no adverse reactions, whereas Adexonate alpha is associated with serious thromboembolic risk, ischemic risk, cardiac arrest, and even sudden cardiac death in 0.1 to 1.3% of patients when this agent is used. So, my friends, this is my second last slide. You will have apixaban with you. You will have rivaroxaban with you. You will have edoxaban with you for years to come for appropriate indications. But, my friends, numero uno remains only one who is getting better and better as is getting older and older, and that is dabigatran. I rest my case. Thank you.
Fantastic presentation. Let's move to the next speaker, Dr. Ajay Naik.
Yeah.
Dr. Naik is
Yeah.
past president of Indian Society of Electrocardiology, and he's past president of IHRS. And we know him as one of the leading electrophysiologists, a dear friend of mine, and invite him to respond to his colleague, Dr. Ponde.
Thank you, Dr. Kamal. This is a fantastic debate. Dr. Ponde, you have to stop your screen sharing. You have an antidote in place. I cannot come in.
Now you can share your screen.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so this is a nice debate, and the operative words here in this debate is this 66-year-old gentleman with paroxysmal AF has had PTCA to LAD for anterior wall MI, 95% proximal lesion 14 months back. This is the operative phrase in this debate. We are not talking about the general population. And yes, this patient has a CHA2DS2-VASc score of 4, which is higher. And that is what the point I'm going to stress on. In 2017 ESC guidelines also, they've recommended that post 1 year PCI in AF patients, monotherapy with OSC alone is fine. And this was a class 2A/B recommendation. And even in the 2020 ESC AF guidelines, that after PCI 12 months, a single OSC alone is adequate for AF patients. So the guidelines recommend NOACs alone in patients with AF and stable coronary artery disease. We are talking about stable because the patient is post PCI 14 months, no further symptoms, but dedicated evidence has been lacking till now because this trial has been published. This is the first and only dedicated NOAC trial in AF plus stable coronary artery disease setting, basically the operative point for this debate. So a FIRE study was done in patients more than 12 months after PCI to assess the non-inferiority of rivaroxaban monotherapy versus rivaroxaban plus antiplatelet agent in patients with AF and stable coronary artery disease. We are looking at the efficacy, cardiovascular events, the standard stroke, systemic embolism, MI, unstable angina requiring revascularization or death, and obviously safety, major bleeding. The patients have had a history of PCI, CAD, CABG 1 year prior to enrollment. Patients got either rivaroxaban 10 or 15 milligram once a day, with or without aspirin or a P2Y12 inhibitor. So there were about more than 1100 patients in each arm, and the patients were followed up for 2 to 4 years. This was PCI, CAD, CABG more than a year. Previous MI in a third of patients, previous PCI in a 2/3 of patients, paroxysmal AF in more than half the patients, the type of patients that we are debating about. And CHA2DS2-VASc score of 4 was the median with a Hasblat score of 2, again, the type of patients that we are talking about. Now, the primary efficacy endpoint, cardiovascular events or death, when you're looking at rivaroxaban monotherapy versus the combination therapy, was less with the rivaroxaban monotherapy, 4.1% versus 5.75%. And the hazard, the p-value was 0.001 for non-inferiority. And it was applicable to all the subsets, patients with previous PCI, irrespective of type of stents. Is the CHA2DS2-VASc score 2 to 6. So here we are talking about this patient with CHA2DS2-VASc score of 4. CHA2DS2-VASc score of 4 here, and a Hasblat score of around 2. So in all these patients, the rivaroxaban monotherapy favored compared to combining with another antiplatelet agent. And for efficacy, primary safety endpoint, the rivaroxaban monotherapy was superior to the combination therapy, adding on an aspirin or a P2Y12 inhibitor, 0.01 p-value for superiority. Also looking at the secondary efficacy endpoints, lower rate of all-cause mortality for rivaroxaban monotherapy versus the combination due to lower incidences of both cardiovascular and non-cardiovascular death. And this was across the spectrum. The trial was terminated early because of higher risk of death in the combination therapy group. So this is very, again, important point. Lower rate of net clinical adverse events for rivaroxaban monotherapy versus the combination therapy. Whether it's any bleeding or major bleeding, the rivaroxaban monotherapy was better than the combination therapy. So when we are talking about patients of atrial fibrillation post PCI, 14 months, stable coronary artery disease, and we are talking about what drug to give. This is the only drug where we have all the evidence. So the primary efficacy endpoint, composite of all cardiovascular and events, all-cause mortality, non-inferiority of rivaroxaban monotherapy versus the combination. It was safer. There was superiority over the combination therapy. There was significant reduction in major bleeding and significant reduction in cardiovascular death. Again, the trial was terminated early. So because of this, now in the 2020 ESC NSTEMI guidelines, it recommends that NOAC alone post PCI 12 months in AF patients become a class 1 recommendation. This is from the AFIRE study. That is the only study available for NOACs in this type of population. Dr. Ponde talked about this. We have rivaroxaban. We have the data from ROCKET AF. It's been done in the patients with the highest CHA2DS2-VAS score. And so that mimics essentially what we are talking about in this patient. So I'd be more comfortable using this drug. Fact remains, rivaroxaban they've done a large number of trials in the spectrum of disease, and we have a large number of data which has come till now and will continue to get over the future. So for this specific patient, AF, stable CAD, post PCI 14 months, CHA2DS2-VAS score of 4, Hasbled score of 2. Rivaroxaban as NOAC is the most appropriate and probably the only evidence-based therapy in such a scenario. Thank you.
Nice presentation, sir. Dr. Krishna, you should go here, the chairperson. I completely agree with you with this the FIRE study and the scenario of this patient post-plasty, stable CAD, along with out of the anticoagulants, this is a better option. May I invite the next speaker, Dr. Jay Shah. Pre-shot care, Ahmedabad, sir.
Good evening, respected chairpersons, dear friends, both my senior colleagues, Dr. Ajay Nayak sir and Dr. C.K. Ponde, though they are considered as stalwarts as far as the field of cardiology and especially atrial fibrillation, where Ajay Nayak sir is himself is a electrophysiologist. He has proven his point, but here, what I wanted to just give some of the important facts that here we have not talked about the dose of the molecule. We have not talked about the overall scenario. If I go ahead again, the Cardiocon bout, that is 66 years of age, I assume that as it has already been mentioned by Dr. C.K. Ponde, that the eGFR creatinine was not being mentioned. Liver functions, I assume that renal function and liver functions are normal. We are talking about post PCI LAD angioplasty, proximal LAD with CHA2DS2-VAS score of 4 and now developing 65 kg of male having paroxysmal atrial fibrillation. Now, can anybody tell me why the patient is having CHA2DS2-VAS score of 4? And that is possible only and only with a 66 year of age if the patient is having associated diabetes, hypertension, or LV dysfunction. And if we take this thing in our mind, then Hasbled score cannot be 2. If you assume as well that the score is 2, but it is possible only if the age of the patient is 65 and the patient has already underwent angioplasty. So aspirin will be probable inclusion of that particular case, post-PCI ACS. So the Hasbled score becomes 3. And here the patient is underwent angioplasty or ACS, underwent LAD angioplasty. So the risk versus benefit in atrial fibrillation, we are all aware about the CHA2DS2-VAS and the Hasbled score. And here in front of all the physicians and all the senior colleagues, I wanted to highlight one point that whenever we come across any case of atrial fibrillation, whether it is paroxysmal, persistent or permanent, you need to have the habit of getting CHA2DS2-VAS score and Hasbled score both for those patients, and then find out the reason whether your patient is falling into the category of high stroke risk or high bleeding risk. And here I am seeing that the Hesbert score, even though the Chadwick score is 4, the Hesbert score is remaining 3 instead of 2. So the coronary stenting in patient having atrial fibrillation, high risk of stroke, and you cannot simultaneously prevent all the 3. You cannot prevent stent thrombosis, stroke, and major bleeding by combining OAC and DAPT, and that is being already been discussed in the previous 2 talks. I just wanted to highlight a very important trial of AFPCI, where the angioplasty was being done. And here in Augustus trial, you can see that the Chadwick score was 3.9. AF plus ACS post PCI, more than 4,600 patients are being included. The approved dose for SPAF, here I wanted to highlight one thing, that the approved dose for SPAF in NOAC in angioplasty is 5 mg twice daily, which was being utilized in apixaban, while in case of Pioneer HF, where the dose is not being maintained, it has not been mentioned, and the dose which has been used, it was not approved for SPAF. So the dose is also very important, and probably in a relay trial which was being done with dabigatran 110 and 150 milligram, as far as the stroke of risk, the risk of stroke is concerned, yes, we are very sure that the risk of stroke is less. But what about the bleeding tendency? The bleeding tendency in Pioneer AFPCI, you can see that even though it is better with Riva, with P2 alkyl receptor inhibitor, the MACE and the stent thrombosis is high, whether we are using 15 milligram of Riva or 2.5 milligram of Riva along with P2 alkyl receptor. So the point what I wanted to make here is that interpretation of Pioneer has given us the very clear-cut guideline that yes, NOACs plus P2 alkyl receptor is definitely superior than VK plus DAPT, but these trials are not powered for efficacy or the effects of ischemic event. And when we are talking about redual PCI, where dabigatran was being used in angioplasty, where dabigatran 150 milligram or 110 milligram as vis-a-vis warfarin was being utilized, the effect of both the drugs are superior as far as the bleeding tendency is concerned. But when we are talking about ischemic stroke or ischemic event, thromboembolic event, death, you can see that 110 milligram is having a more amount of increased amount of death and thromboembolic events as compared to those who are using 150 milligram. And here we are not very sure in radial PCI trial whether the reduction in the bleeding is because of the use of dabigatran or because of the avoidance of aspirin, because it was not being utilized. The point I wanted to make here is that Pioneer has assessed rivaroxaban, Aristotle has assessed apixaban, Relay has assessed dabigatran, and the radial PCI has assessed dabigatran, but the dose which has been used in Pioneer in rivaroxaban was not tested for stroke prevention. Neither the trial are powered for efficacy outcome. With the basis of that, I just wanted to give certain important points as far as the Augustus trial is concerned, where apixaban is considered to be either non-inferior or superior to VK plus DAPT or SAPT, and whether apixaban vis-a-vis VK is proven to be superior in spite of not using aspirin or not, and that is the area of concern, because when we have seen the last 2020 ESC guideline, it has proven that NOACs is the only therapy which can be given after 12 months of PCI. Now, which NOAC is the most safest? That is something which we wanted to highlight. And the NOACs which has been studied with Chadwick score of 4, with the Hesbert score of 3, and the amount of PCI which has been done, that needs to be included as far as the trial is concerned. Now, apixaban, it has shown a less serious bleeding, even without aspirin, and aspirin has produced more bleeding without producing any beneficial effects as far as the death and hospitalization is concerned. The stent thrombosis rates are also less when we are using apixaban as compared to aspirin. And the study has concluded the benefit of apixaban regimen as compared to aspirin regimen. Now here, with this background, I wanted to highlight the efficacy of apixaban and safety of apixaban. Both are being achieved as far as the Hesbert score is concerned. You can see that as the Hesbert score increases, the amount of benefit as compared to VK is definitely better. Stroke, prevention and systemic embolization prevention. Along with that, you can see that even if the Hesberg score is 3 and Chadwick score is 3, it favors apixaban vis-a-vis warfarin. And that is being seen with regardless of the age. You can take the age of less than 65, and here we are talking about the age of 66 in our case, where it is definitely superior as compared to VK, and especially for the elderly population where the age of the patient is more than 65, you need to choose the agent which is the safest. Now coming to the comparison of different molecule, you can see that apixaban is considered to be one of the most safest drug as far as the major bleeding in elderly population is concerned, whether they are at the age of 65, more than 65, or more than 75 of age, as compared to dabigatran or rivaroxaban, where the dabigatran of 150 milligram in an elderly population has not proven to be more superior as far as the bleeding tendency is concerned. Now coming to our rates of major bleeding as far as the real world scenario is concerned. Now in real world scenario, if you look at the comparison, there is no possibility of having a head-to-head trial of this apixaban versus rivaroxaban or dabigatran. But when we are looking at the meta-analysis of rates of major bleeding in real world scenario, it has proven that as far as rivaroxaban versus dabi is concerned, it favors riva as compared to dabi. But when we are comparing against apixaban, where the amount of the patients of which are being included,
Dr. Jai, we have crossed the time, huh?
Sir, give me only 1 minute.
Yeah.
With superiority, apixaban has proven to be superior over dabigatran and over rivaroxaban, which was being studied in a real world scenario. So here we are talking about ACS with PCI after 14 months or after 12 months of therapy, where the thrombotic risk is probably less because we are using a newer generation of stent. We are not using first generation of stent. Looking at the bleeding risk factor, hypertension, history of aspirin, and age of the patient, which is elderly. By definition, more than 65 is the elderly population. So the patient is anyway falling into the category of high bleeding risk, where you need to choose a drug which is superior, which has already been proven. And in real world scenario, it has proven the superiority against two of the member, which is rivaroxaban and dabigatran. And this was the slide which was already been shared with by Ajay sir, that NOAC alone is the main therapy after FIR study, whether it is default strategy, high bleeding risk or high ischemic risk in a patient having AF undergoing PCI for NST ACS. After 12 months, the area of concern should be only by giving NOACs alone. And in that condition, it is always better to choose a regimen which is having a lower incidence of both bleeding and the composite of death and hospitalization as compared to VK in a patient having paroxysmal AF, persistent AF, or permanent AF along with underlying ACS. So here we are choosing, or we are in search of an antithrombotic sweet spot where the right combination of antithrombotic agents at the right dose and the duration to reduce ischemic events as much as possible at a minimal cost of bleeding is possible. So as C.K. Pandey sir has shown that I'm a diehard fan of Amitabh, but he has chosen the perfectionist of apixaban in form of Amir Khan, where the perfection is difficult to get improved further. And that has proven the point of apixaban to be the safest molecule as far as atrial fibrillation is concerned. Thank you, sir.
Excellent talk, all of three. One question in chat box is dose of rivaroxaban.
Yeah.
So that is what I was here, Ajay sir.
Yeah. So for rivaroxaban, the dose which was used in USA, Europe, India was 20 milligrams, whereas in Japan, 15 and 10 milligram was used in this study, in the FIRE study. So that is an important point. Oh, just countering what Dr. Jay, I'll take this opportunity of being able to speak. Dr. Jay talked about Pioneer, Redual, and Augustus, but I'd like to bring your attention to the fact that those were studies for PCI done during acute ACS in a background of AF, where the patient already had AF and the patient had ACS. So that data is for different kind of patients. Here we are talking about patients who have already undergone PCI more than a year in the past, they have stabilized in coronary artery disease, and the patient has AF. So we have to move on to other things.
So
It
the
is just
point
not
which I,
reduction in
yeah.
bleeding. Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
point
go
which
ahead.
I wanted to just, to come to the conclusion, or rather point to the notice, is that I just wanted to give the importance of uses of a molecule which is turned out to be the safest. And that was being utilized even in an ACS scenario, which was turned out to be safe. So post ACS, when we are using a single molecule, it is naturally going to be the safest when we are combining Aristotle, real world scenario, and post PCI cases.
No. What you think intuitively cannot always be right. And when you have data in the form of AFIRE, you
So
need to
in
have
that-
proper data. So when you have data, you can say, but what is you think intuitively or instinctively may be right, may not necessarily be borne out by the data.
Can I
So
make a point? Can I make
yeah,
a point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to see Ajay after so many days, so many years. Thrilled to see him. Thrilled to listen to you, Ajay. And I'm always in love with Jay. Jay has, we have shared so many diocese, and really thank you for both of you to be here with me. I really so happy and thrilled today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was just, so that is the reason I told that I am a diehard fan of Amitabh, but you cannot forget the role of a perfectionist, which is, which is the safest one. And as Ajay sir has already told that I would put Shah Rukh Khan for Ajay sir. So he's the person who has become a King Khan. So I become, I tell Ajay sir to become a King Khan. So all three are winners,
Yeah, the idea of this debate is just to put the data forward, and everybody can decide what you want to do in presence of the whatever data is available.
Fantastic, sir. Thank you so much. And congratulations, Kamal bhai, for the grand success of this academic extravaganza.
I'll convey it to Kamal. Kamal is
Thank
busy
you.
with the-
No,
Yeah,
I'm here.
thank you.
I was here.
Thank you.
Internet connectivity issues are not exclusive to any cardiologist or COVAX. So
Conduction is very good.
laptops between hall A and B. I was there, but I was listening through the moderator chair. Fantastic debate, and I think all three of the speakers deserve hats off for this fantastic debate. Any comments, final comments from the chair?
So what to use if someone is
There's
confused?
still a question still in the chat box. What to use?
No,
Everybody is confused.
What I will use or what chair will use?
See, the whole
Yeah,
conference is to make you confused.
Absolutely. Refer the patient to me. I'll decide what to use.
So you need to choose
Yeah,
a
so I
patient.
think the whole
Patient
deliberate-
specific
I
scenario is
deliberately
advisable.
kept the-
Economy
deliberately
matters
kept
in
the
our
has led
country.
as two, because I wanted somebody to look at it, and which Jay picked up. So
Yes.
yeah. So how do you calculate has bled? So this has
Exactly.
bled cannot be two. This patient had to have
It
a
cannot be
HBLED
two.
more than-
Absolutely.
And that was the whole point, which actually Apixaban could actually harp upon, because
Yes.
otherwise poor guy was not going to talk anything. So that was very smart of that.
So that is the reason I pick up that point as bled.
Thank you.
Yes, Bhavesh, you were saying something.
No. It was a rough comment. Choice individually matters. Which director's movies is to be seen by whom. The cost,
Yeah,
cost
Amitabh
and
Bachchan cannot
safety, two
be
issues
the one
are there in
in a
our
cab, then
country.
it won't work.
Yeah.
Bhavesh bhai, basically what they are saying is you leave it to Karan Johar to decide who is going to
A good one.
and it will be Shah Rukh Khan.
Shah Rukh Khan,
Shah Rukh
yes,
Khan
I
will
know.
be there.
So both the factors come in the way, actor and director.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much to.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Congratulations to Kamal bhai also.
Thank you for a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jayesh,
Thank
please.
Hi, thank you so much.